This is Linda Smith of Top Producer at the end of an exciting week in the markets. Jerry Gulke is going to tell us just what was going on. Jerry?
Well, we had explosive markets, and I guess you could say it's all about what's happening off our shores. So many farmers and analysts, I think, out there as well, were looking in our back door, and that's always dangerous, and look in your backyard thinking you got a good or bad crop, either one. But obviously, we've got a good crop coming in the United States. There's some stuff coming in now that suggests that maybe not so good. And I think I talk to guys overseas a lot, and the foreigners are saying, we don't think your crop is as good as I think it is. We think there's holes in it. And these hot nights and so forth that a lot of people have been talking about, Drew Lerner and Elvin Taylor, and our own experience would tell us that corn doesn't like it real hot at night. And I just found out today that we set, I think, a 130-year record in Chicago for the most number of consecutive 80-degree days in July in history. And I think we had, and I didn't realize we had 28 days above 80 degrees in Chicago. So not 105 or anything like, 110 like it is in Russia, but we'll see if it's done any harm. And again, like we mentioned the other day, we want to take a look at our corn as it matures and see if our kernel depth is shallow. If it is, then this crop isn't there. And if we think there's 168 bushel crop out there, 170, and we lose 5% potential, and saying it's not going to be 58 pounds, it's going to be 52 or something, then that means you lost 5% of the crop, and that's 650 million bushels. And that's a less than you expected. You still have a good crop, but as we said before, we need a good crop in the world to compete. I was going through some technicals, and we're going to do the charts again this week, update them. If you don't have access to good charts from your broker, you can get them from us through the website, and it'll be on the be announced later, but on the website, www.gulkegroup.com, or call us at our phone number in Chicago or at Jamie. But let me just go through what happened. And I watch a lot of things. You've seen it on Top Producer a number of times. You just can't argue with the technicals. And we've been reluctantly negative because of our crop, but suggesting that long term we got a problem out there that we may not be able to solve quickly. But each commodity I watch, corn, soybeans, wheat, bean oil, and maybe bean meal, is now long from a weekly and monthly basis, both a fast and short systems that I use. That's pretty significant. And for those of you who are a Top Producer and have seen that over the last 25 years, when we get into a buy situation like that, it says that you could have an upwardly biased market for the next 12 to 18 months. And actually, we've been long the short system, the fast system, for a while, and didn't go very far, and now we're finding it had an impetus from what's going on in Europe, and we're long there. I think there's some similarities also, in wheat especially, in how we started that bull market out. If you remember, in 2008, we went to $15 or $13 of soft wheat, hard wheat. Minneapolis went to 25, and we started about the same place time-wise, but we had been long, price-wise, but we'd been long on a monthly basis for maybe 6 months before that happened. And when you look at the wheat chart and using the slow system, it is just now, with this big move up of $1.50 since the end of July, or $1.60 since the 1st of July, we're just now going along on a monthly basis. So you almost say we need a catastrophic event next month in August for this thing not to be the beginning of something a lot bigger than most people think. We have clients coming out of the woodwork all over the United States are going to plant more wheat, and they're selling next year's wheat. And we've even heard of advisors telling people to sell the next 2 to 3 years worth of wheat because we have 1 billion bushels of wheat left over. They know very little about what's going on overseas and about what's going on in Russia. There are stocks out there that are going to help supply the needs for this year, but next year is the problem. And what if you get another crop somewhere? And if you don't get another crop problem somewhere, you're going to have to replenish the stock. So wheat has been taking the price high enough now to where it is psychologically thinking of people that have never planted wheat for a while, and me, including me in North Dakota. We haven't planted wheat in 2 years. It wasn't economically feasible. Now it's making it economically feasible where it competes with corn again. And we go through these cycles. So what it's saying is that we've got 2 months left, I guess, maybe in September we start harvesting this early bean crop, and we're going to be able to get wheat in the ground. We should be able to get it started. So there's going to be an incentive for me and everybody else with beans to plant wheat and double crop whatever we do down here. And in the south, they'll double crop beans with wheat, and that really looks good. Looks a lot better than corn. So now we've got a chance where we could probably see 3 to 4 million more acres, total wheat acres in the United States, and the world says we need it. We need a cushion so that we don't have to pay $25 again in 2011. We'll gladly pay you $7 or $7.50 just to get you the crop in the bin in the field, and then we'll worry about getting too much. But we need to. I call it a sucker search. They're going to sucker us into plant the wheat, and then maybe everybody will do it, and we'll get too much. So, and farmers are getting these propositions from other buyers out there that'll remain nameless that are offering really good basis out there. And if you sell me 1 bushel here, I'll give you a 10-cent kicker if you'll sell me 2 bushels if it goes even higher. And we saw that in corn before, and that's when the corn took off and went up. So bottom line is that wheat is going to buy acres. And we also know that with the shortage of feed wheat in the world, there could possibly be increased imports into Russia for feed of 1 or 2 million tons, not exports of 3 or 4 million tons. Eastern Europe has got problems with their feed wheat. So suddenly you could see our exports evolving, or someone presuming that if it continues like we see it, well, like we may see it in 6 months from now, that we're going to have a record amount of wheat exports, even with a soft world economy. If the economy gets better, then it's even better yet. So you see some things happening out there, and this being a futures market, somebody is out there looking and saying whatever the price of grain is now, it could look cheap a year from now if we have one more problem by a major exporter. So if we're going to get into I'm going to plant a lot of wheat type scenario, suddenly where's the acres going to come from when beans don't want to lose 1 million acres, and corn needs to provide another 3 to 4 million acres so that we have a cushion and we have enough supply that we keep ending stocks over 1 billion bushels. So pretty exciting times coming out there, and all this in a backdrop where I just got a letter saying that the USDA has opened up the CRP again, and I'm going to re-enter some ground that's in the CRP and go back into it again because they'll pay me as much as I can almost get for rent in North Dakota. So a lot of exciting things happening this week. I guess the technical thing, you can look at it and say, in soybeans, on a monthly basis, we closed above the last 4 or 5 months highs. And during that 4 or 5 months highs, what did we establish? Well, we got a big crop in South America, 1 billion bushels more. You're going to raise more beans. In formula stocking, 600 million carry over this year from this year's crop. Then it's 4. Then it's 3, and maybe under 3 if China keeps on buying beans. So suddenly we've analyzed technically all the fundamental information out there, including a big crop of corn, and we're seeing a need that we need to close above $10 in November beans. And above $4 in corn, and above $6-something, $6.60 in wheat, on the way probably to $7.50. Pretty exciting times, and you look back at it and say, this almost looks like 2008. Prior to 2008, the end of 2006, we were going into a demand-driven market again. Back then, it was caused by ethanol and corn competing for acres. And suddenly, we, just like the financial crisis, fell apart for totally different reasons than. Had a problem, totally different reasons than what happened in the Depression. And we had housing and Wall Street falling apart, and very few people saw it coming. Now we may see a grain market, bull market, establish itself for totally different reasons than what it was before. And before we blamed ethanol and high crude oil prices. Now we're going to have to blame Mother Nature in the world and maybe Russia. And we'll see what CNBC has to say about all that. But these things sneak up on you when you're looking back and trying to predict the future on past history, and something different comes up. So nothing more exciting than to be in agriculture today. And if you want the charts, we're going to have soybeans, wheat, corn, and rapeseed and bean oil on a weekly to monthly basis. And if you want them, why just log on to www.gulkegroup.com, or you can phone Jamie at 707-365-0601, and all those numbers will be on the web, and we'll gladly send them to you. Like I say, tell my people that work for me and my kids and everything, I say, stare at them until it talks to you, because it's sending a message. Form your own conclusion, and from that, and see where you want to be in this marketing game. So with that, Linda, I think we've had enough of this, and exciting time Monday morning. If we get this ridge coming back in like they're predicting, and they talk about 100 degrees, high 90s in the second week of August, I don't venture a guess what could happen. So certainly you're in an area now that people will start to get bullish, and we may be just beginning this thing. And